now I remember why I wanted to put music on.
Yeah, how do you predict this?
Yeah, I'll fix it next time. Sorry, folks.
We just have some music and getting
Izzy, I really can't hear you. It's super loud.
Make it stop.
Loud, start the show. My ears are bleeding. Please. Hey, I'm sorry.
Hold on. Case openings? Wait.
A ton of money from
is that
hold on, it's my closing
they
thought.
actually everyone's saying they ran out of 3 because they feel it's profitable.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Happy Sunday and welcome back to another episode of the Catalyst Effect podcast. Today, I am joined by the usual panel, Missy and Hado, but we have a special friend of ours. We have Jason Desimone. Is it Desimone or Desimone? Did I butcher that?
You know what? I found out after my first trip to Italy that my family's been saying it wrong for my whole life.
Oh, shit.
Say it however you want. That totally works.
All right, well, listen, we got Jason from the Avagashi team here with us today to talk everything about Avagashi and their recent migration to the GEIST network. So it's gonna be a super good show. I already see the chat going off. We got the Avagashi community pulling through and saying a bunch of good mornings in the chat. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for watching us.
Let's go.
Man. They're definitely pulling up for the support. I love it. But how's everyone feeling, man? How's the Sunday going? How are the Sunday vibes? I'm gonna start over here to my right with Missy. Missy, how are you doing, brother?
Yo, good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. I'm doing great, man. It was fun hanging out yesterday. Spent the morning on the beach, gamed a little bit, got a lot of designing to do for the rest of the day. But before I get into that, it's cool to kick it with Jason, man. Jason, I consider him like an OG homie of ours. He was very early to like Catalyst and everything that we were doing. So it's great finally having him on the show. And I look forward to hearing more about the Gotchiverse.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I love this full circle moments that we have in Web3 sometimes, when like you said, we were talking to Jason and Avagashi very, very early on with the Catalyst team and stuff like that when we started. And now, I'm glad that we're able to just catch up and also work together in a deeper level, so it's really cool, man. And Hado, what about you, brother? How are you doing this Sunday?
We're an old
birthday
man
boy.
It's the birthday boy, man. Chat, everybody right now. Happy 35th birthday to my man Hado right now. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Let's make sure this man feels the love today, bro.
Yeah, thank you. We're 35 years old. Still a kid at heart. Hopefully that never changes. The gray in my beard today were just yelling at me, so I had to get rid of it. But another day older, another year in the books. And I don't want to make this about me. It's about GEIST today, guys. It's about GEIST, it's not about me.
Yes, sir. And of course, our special guest today, Jason. Man, how are you today, brother? How you feeling? How's your Sunday going? All that good stuff.
I'm feeling great. My Sunday's great. Hanging with the homies, talking about Avagashi and GEIST. So what's bad about that?
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, we just started to get some snow where I live, so the seasons are in full change right now too. So,
dude, it's November 3rd? On November 1st, I'm not even kidding you. Literally, November 1st, everybody that I knew literally tested me. Happy Christmas. It's Christmas already. Like, bro, what are you guys on right now, man? People are trying to take away Thanksgiving from me. That's my favorite.
I'm not going to lie. I did blast a Christmas playlist yesterday. So
what is wrong with you people? We still have
turkey to eat. One, that's the
listen, it's a sentimental holiday for me. I don't know which one it was. It's just a random playlist on YouTube, but the Mariah Carey Christmas came on, so that's like a staple.
Oh
That's
hell
a
yeah!
staple. Yeah, that's a
Oh
staple.
hell yeah!
Now, listen, before we get into all the conversation, all the topics that we have for today, I do want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Thank you to RefGG, Guys, and Arbitrum for being sponsors of the show. We'll tell you guys a little bit more about them in a little bit as we get through the show. But first, I wanted to get started. Jason, if you could give us a little bit of a backstory about Avigashi, how did the whole ecosystem and brand started? And also, if you can touch on like what is your role within the team, right? And Avigashi.
Yeah, so Avigashi launched in 2019 with its first asset, which was Ghost Token. And that launched in 2019. Shortly after that, the first round of portals launched, which were where our adorable Avigachis live. And that was kind of really the beginning of the ecosystem, I think you could say. We built a very strong community early on, and the project always aimed to be community driven, and it stuck to that ethos all the way through. So many of those early community members are, still with us. They're all DAO members, and everything that happens inside of the ecosystem to date, is governed by the DAO. So after launching those Avigachis, we started to build out, further build out the platform, which was always leading up to being a gaming network, centered around these awesome NFTs, which are our Avigachis. So having a bonding curve implemented, Ghost remained for sale, and the supply continued to grow for 3 years. And just over a year now, we closed that curve. We were able to pull around 30 million USD out from the bonding curve. So to date, we're still completely self-funded, and the majority of that, raise went into the DAO treasury and is to date managed by the DAO. So with the departure from the curve, we capped the supply of the token. So the token is also fully distributed at this point. And has been, vested over the course of this past 4 years into various assets inside of the ecosystem that we're now able to bring live with GEIST. So that's the TLDR. There's a lot of details in between all of those, but for the sake of time, I think that covers the majority of like our origin and like where we're at right now.
Dude, just with that summary that you just gave us, right? You brought up a lot of topics that I want to touch on, right? Because first of all, 2019, that's crazy, right? That's in Web3 terms, that's a long time for Web3 people.
That's a lifetime, man. That's 5
That's
years.
that's my whole entire Web3 career, actually.
Exactly. Well, I think it's important because when people think 2019 crypto, right, or Web3 gaming, a lot of people give credit to brands like Axie Infinity, right, being the OGs, and I feel like a lot of people forget that Avigashi was part of that group of like the OG groups of Web3 gaming that are still around to this day, still building, so I think it's really cool. And I wanted to touch on it because you mentioned the DAO being kind of like the spearing head, right, to all the decisions and everything that's been created inside this ecosystem. And that's also something that you don't often see in Web3, in my opinion. A lot of DAOs in Web3, especially ones that have been around for so long, they eventually get into this. It's really hard to get them to be cooperative, right, and come up with decisions that everybody agrees to. So I wanted to ask you, like, what was that difference for you guys? What do you think has made that difference within your community that has allowed the DAO to be so compatible, I guess, with the people that it has in it, to be able to execute on decisions that are important to the ecosystem, for it not to die out just because you've reached a standpoint or like, became like, I don't want to use the word stale, but like, I feel like a lot of DAOs get to a point where they get stuck because people don't know how to make decisions, or there's a disagreement and it doesn't go anywhere. So what do you think for Avigashi made that difference?
Yeah, so I think, one of the biggest downsides or pitfalls of most DAOs is that the end kind of goal is for bags to go up. There aren't too many DAOs that have, I think, a goal simplified enough to actually be achieved through like modern Web3, blockchain governance. I bring up Pizza DAO. Actually, I think they're on the shirt somewhere. Yeah, they're over here. But I bring up Pizza DAO all the time as like a really good model for a successful DAO because they've kept their kind of goal pretty simple, which is to deliver, free pizza to people. And we've seen it kind of develop. Yeah.
Pizza DAO. Can we get a free pizza for my man Hado for his birthday? That would be dope.
That would be awesome.
You know what? Light Piglet,
no pineapples.
I think there's got to be some type of initiative for free birthday crypto pizza out there, but I'm not familiar with it. I think having number one was having like a goal that was not direct, like just basically financially related. I think people are obviously involved because they want to see success for the project and the token. However, I think like the longer term vision for our community, being part of like building a decentralized gaming protocol is something that they are like extremely interested in. With regards to why we were so successful, there's a few reasons for that. First and foremost, I think for any DAO or blockchain governance, you need to have incentives. Like everything is basically incentive based. That's why we do a lot of what we do. I think it's best to just be honest about that. So built into kind of the very like DNA of our ecosystem is a mechanic that allows for you to build XP for Aavegotchis in your voting wallet. So what this allows for is over time, you build up XP, and then when you hit, like that next level, you get 1 point to apply to that Aavegotchi's rarity. We didn't really get into gotcha rarity because then that becomes a 30-minute conversation. But even early on, the attributes of these NFTs were all dynamic, and they had characteristics that were always meant to carry over into a gaming ecosystem. So that's something that keeps, I think, our active community active on the governance standpoint. I will say I was a community member well before I was an employee of the company. So Aavegotchi was actually the first NFT that I ever purchased. It's the reason I started a Discord account. Seeing our founder on a show kind of like this made NFTs make sense for me because I could kind of see what they were working towards. And then, a couple of years later, I had the opportunity to become a team member. So, I still participate in the majority of these like initiatives, and in, my gotchis get pet through Orium. I don't hand pet them anymore, but they still get pet every day. I partake in voting because I want to keep leveling them up, and I want to be part of the, decision-making process. So I can say as a community member, that's definitely been a big incentive. And I think that most other community members would agree with that. And then I think something else that's like very interesting or important to consider about our project that we don't talk about too much anymore is that we were built on kind of an alternative ERC standard using diamond contracts, which were upgradable contracts. So we were able to make changes to the protocol while we developed without having to like have a migration event at every one of those big decisions. And I think around a lot of these DAOs, you can pinpoint like a big decision-making event to where things fall apart. Even if you start to like, if you want to constantly evolve and you're losing like a small percentage each time and that pool is becoming smaller that you're losing people from, I think they become dissuaded. So being able to just hold votes and then make changes on the protocol without having to have like a major migration event for the assets was something that also allowed us to continually build and be successful over time.
That is awesome, man. And thank you for touching on that, because I feel like it's a topic that doesn't get talked about a lot in spaces or in podcasts in general, and we still see a lot of DAOs in the space. I'm not saying they're not around anymore, but I do feel like it's what you mentioned, right? There's a lack of incentives to hold those people in there to feel valuable as to what their purpose is inside this group of governance, right? And again, like the worst thing that can happen to a DAO, in my opinion, is have a divided like group of people, right? Where it's like nothing is going anywhere. There's no decisions being made because nobody agrees with anything, you know? So really cool that you guys approached it that way. Another thing I wanted to touch on is that you mentioned
real
that.
quick, I wanted to jump into something because I didn't realize
Go
my
ahead,
mic was
brother.
muted.
Oh shit, my bad, man. Go ahead.
No, it's all good. No, it's like, in a way, for those of you guys that aren't as crypto native in the chat, because I know like the Catalyst community has some people that aren't as crypto native. Like, essentially, what Avagachi did was create like gamer identities on chain, and then allow people to level up their characters for every action that they took. And as they leveled up, they gained more rarities, they gained more benefits, they gained incentives for being a part of the ecosystem in like a meaningful way. Whether it be getting involved on just the voting side of things, maybe completing some missions here and there, things like that. So I mean, everyone's trying to act like this is a new innovation, and I've always admired Avagachi for having done it like way before it was even a trending topic. And I think that's something that I would love to highlight more, as we continue to play Avagachi and like do things around the ecosystem, because I think it's so like innovative and sick, and it's very inspiring to someone that believes in like actual crypto native initiatives around like on-chain identities and things. So shouts out to you guys for doing that. And I always love hearing your story as a community member, man, because it's like the Web3 dream to like work with your favorite project after having joined the ecosystem because of that.
Yeah, 100%. I worked with a bunch of projects before Avagachi too, and it's funny because, I also obviously started trading NFTs beyond that. Like, but for my first like 6 months of NFTs, I never touched OpenSea. I was just like in the Avagachi bazaar. But then I got into all these other projects, and I'm like, I don't understand what they're doing. So it was nice to, after banging my head against the wall with some other projects, being able to come back home to the best project. And one thing I will add, I guess I didn't mention this, but part of that whole rarity mechanic is like at the very base of Avagachi, the first like game you could say was rarity farming, which is all of these gachis, like I said, have different traits. They have like 6 different traits, and they're rated on a bell curve. But the wearables affect each gachi differently based on the base rarity. And by leveling up the rarity of your gachi, you receive rewards multiple times each year through what we call rarity farming. So part of that voting mechanic, like you said, leveling up the rarity and the traits, not only will those traits carry over into gameplay, they were incentivized before any true games came out through, the ability to kind of get part of these rarity rewards that were out there for the most rare gachis.
Absolutely. And just to read some comments here in the chat, because it is getting a little messed up. Some of the comments are going to the top, so we apologize if we missed you. Kobe's saying, Kobe, what is up, brother? Thank you for being here with us. Saying upgradable contract is good. I feel like it's always towards evolution and breakthrough for the project. Absolutely, man. That sounds really dope. Then we have some people missing. People are asking for, where is Missy Cat, man? You immediately,
what is
bro.
that?
People want the Missy Cat back. Yo, brother, we're gonna have Pitchforks thing here very soon.
I streamed as a cat yesterday, man.
Yeah, the people want what the people want, my friend. All right, so make sure you switch. Make sure you
I was
switch.
so confused.
Name.
Yeah, man. Yeah. You need to switch real quick. If not, people are gonna be very upset.
Yeah, can I see what that looks like?
Yeah, I'll show you in a second.
Right.
Also, if you're watching us on Twitch, shout outs to you guys, man. Thank you so much for supporting us there. Make sure you hit that follow button.
Yeah,
I saw Yvonne TV followed us, so thank you so much for the follow, man. Appreciate
shout
you.
outs to our YouTubers as well.
By the way, we have to get you guys integrated. We have a partner called Idris, and they have the ability for you to get tips in Ghost right directly through Twitch natively.
Oh, what?
Oh yeah, sign me up. I love it.
Yeah. So we're gonna get you guys set up with that. But for it's a really cool kind of protocol that they created around using Avagachi and a few other projects as the beta. But we can get you set up so people will be able to drop you Ghost directly in the Twitch feed.
Oh hell yeah, dude! We'd love to we definitely need to have a discussion on that and see how we can make that happen.
Yeah.
That sounds really cool.
Before we hop into the next questions, LFG GEIST. Yeah, man, I'm so used to saying LF Gachi. Now it's like LF GEIST.
Left guys, baby.
They all work.
I had to shout that out. Thrax. Yo, bro, if you guys get me an Avagachi VR MTV tube, I will definitely do it.
Maybe that's a sick shirt.
Maybe we can make like a Mizzy themed Avagachi or something. Like that would be fire. Like,
Yo, can we make that happen
Yeah.
for Rekt? That would
Yeah,
be
I would love to
insane.
do that.
If we get Missy as a Gashi Ghost for Rekt, that would be crazy.
That would be awesome.
Little Piglet, I'm younger than you, and my beard. We got to go back to like when Hado was talking about his beard. See, man, you got some people with some peppered beards in here, bro. You don't got to feel.
Listen, brother, if
don't gotta
Hado's
feel
complaining about
insecure
white
about it.
hairs at 35, I'm done for, dude. My whole head is literally white hair.
All right. Let's be fair though. My first white hair was in my early 20s, so it's all good.
Bro, I got
bro.
my first gray at 14. So I mean,
At least it's not all gray. We got a lot of black.
Well,
ones.
listen, I'm absolutely loving how the Avagashi community has come and showed up for support in this show, man. This is awesome. Thank you guys. You guys are extremely supportive of your community, and obviously we welcome you to the Catalyst community if you haven't checked us out. Hopefully you enjoy all the content you see. But I wanted to shift the conversation here a little bit because obviously a couple of days ago you guys made a big announcement announcing your migration to the GEIST network, right? So I wanted to touch on that a little bit. The mainnet just went live. So how is everything going so far in this last couple of days ever since you guys made that announcement? Has everything been going according to plan? Have you guys run into any challenges that you weren't expecting or anything like that? Can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, not necessarily any challenges. Oh, the kitty's
The
back.
cat is back. You guys, hey, the people
What
got what they
the
wanted,
fuck?
all right? Listen.
What in the Sabrina the Teenage Witch is that, bro?
yes, sir.
W cat in the chat right now. W cat. Tweet a W if you want Missy to stay permanently a cat.
Hold on,
Right.
real quick. Can we just get a meow?
Meow.
Damn. that was perfect. That was perfect.
That's great. So right now everything's going smoothly. Essentially the migration, we have a lot of assets, right? We have we've built a lot over the past 4 years. So there's a lot of assets to move. And then those assets are also, we're not just necessarily like a traditional basic JPEG NFT, like our portals have a whole collateral mechanic. So there's a little bit of intricacy there. So as far as migration goes, that's like essentially going to be a tiered, system. I'd say first and foremost, we've already started migrating Ghost over there. I moved a bag of Ghost over. We are currently running a really awesome onboarding initiative through our Discord. So I'm sure we can get everyone that link through your channels. But it's called GEIST Encounters. And this is like a really great way for people to start interacting with the chain, including bringing some Ghost over and starting by minting a commemorative NFT over there. So far, so good. We started with the token. That's already our primary token, Ghost. Mm-hmm. Next, the Avagachis will move over, as well as wearables. After that, I'd say there'll probably be a little bit of time before portals move over, but we'll probably see land move over after the gachis and wearables. And then, I'd say it's probably like 6 months to a year is a realistic time period to have like the entire ecosystem moved over to GEIST. We also have some really cool art initiatives like fake gachis. Mm-hmm. Again, there's like cards, then those cards were burnt to create art. Those art pieces had multiple editions. So there is like a bit of a process, and we want to make sure that we like do everything in bite-sized chunks for the community so that they're not overwhelmed and, kind of lose interest in the whole process of making the move to our final home, which is GEIST.
Absolutely love it. I have a ton of questions, but real quick, let me give some more shout outs because the community is just going off on the chat right now, man. Transistor saying, hello, Catalyst team. You're rocking, guys. Keep it up. Transistor, thank you so much. Listen, I got a bone to pick with you. You absolutely destroyed us on freaking Gashi Guardians yesterday, man. That was not fair. We were not prepared, right? I was not prepared for that dinosaur on Mount all right. You know what, man? No. Skill issue, nothing. I don't want to hear any of that.
This guy
gotta run
cracked.
It back, brother. I got a bone to pick with Transistor.
This guy was cracked. I think we almost made it to like 20 rounds in Gachi Guardians. Like I felt like I was holding my own, and this guy just kept bringing the heat, dude. The
best part was seeing Transistor. The best part was seeing Transistor build the bridge inside the map, and Missy like destroy the bridge, and then he builds it back and then destroy it. Bro, it was great. It was great. Icy saying much love. Jason and Navagashi are great. Yeah, man, they're true OG.
the
Icy,
homie.
you're a real OG. Icy, thank you for watching us and
Hell
supporting
yeah.
us, man. Thank you for being here. Goob saying jump in the Discord and get going on those guys encounters. Absolutely. And speaking on that, we would love to get that. I know you mentioned the insensitive for the onboarding side. We would love to drop that in our Discord as well as an announcement to start bridging people over there. Start getting our community involved with Avigashi as well, because again, man, you guys have a lot of cool things inside your ecosystem. A lot of games are really awesome. So I would love for people to check you guys out even more. But kind of to touch back on everything you said, right, with the migration and all of that. Having so many assets to obviously transfer over and everything. What about from a community standpoint? How has the reaction been on that side? Has it all been positive? Are people super excited about this move to guys, or how's the community been reacting with all of this?
Well, they've been part of building an open and truly having the community part of all the decisions is that we don't have any kind of like big surprises or that's kind of like it keeps like the turbulence relatively dispersed throughout the life of the project, as opposed to like massive swings. Of course, there are certain initiatives that are like maybe more dividing than others, but overall the community is prepared for what we're doing because they were part of voting the whole time, and they were part of making the decision. We still, there's still decisions to be made. That being said, now that we are migrating, we have like elements, like I mentioned earlier, like the collateral inside of our Avigachis. So that collateral will need to be unlocked or converted before these gachis move over to GEIST. So that's a decision that we're going to need to vote on, and we're going to have to decide on. But as opposed to us telling the community, like, you're going to move your gachis and this is going to happen, because of how we're built and designed, it starts with a conversation in our weekly hangout. A poll was put up, and then next we'll actually have like a initiative in Snapshot, and people will be able to vote. So these decisions become less inflammatory because I think that they're brought on steadily over time, and then by the time that they happen, enough of the community was in consensus to make it happen that you're always going to have dissenting voices, but for the most part, it keeps things like pretty steady, I'd say. So far, no major complaints. We've never done like a major migration in the past. Other projects have multiple times. Check my feed for the ones I talk about the most. But I think people understanding that this is like end game, they're a little bit less apprehensive. They understand that they're going to do the lift once, and that kind of all these major decisions are only happening one time, and then we get to go off into the sunset and actually build an entire gaming ecosystem, the hard part, which is next.
Dude, that's going to be awesome. But transparency is key. It's what you're saying, right? Like, when you have the community involved, and since you guys have a DAO, it's even more involvement, right? There's no surprises. Nothing comes out of nowhere. And I think that's when people get upset, is when they get hit by something that they weren't expecting, or it's like, why are we making this decision now all of a sudden, So having the community be involved, transparency is always good. So it makes things a lot easier, and it will be well received, So
it also builds that culture too, because if you want to build like that culture that you want to build, you got to build that trust too, and that transparency is like that gateway to bringing that trust up. So
absolutely, once you lose the trust of your community, it's really hard to get it back, especially in Web3, in my opinion. But listen,
that's very true.
yeah, bro. I mean, I could name some projects, but I'm not gonna do that right now. But I wanted to touch on everything that came with the migration, right? Because obviously you guys moving to GEIST, that does come with some new experiences that were announced, such as GEIST memberships, rewards program. I think I even read something about a gaming console being around in the talks too, So I don't know if you can touch a little bit more on that, but can you give us a little bit of an update of all these new features that are coming with this migration?
Yeah, so the gaming console is virtual, so I want to temper expectations there. A hardware device who knows one day, but definitely want to set expectations there for the folks watching. But this is like a virtual console model, and this is essentially like your entire like where all our games will live on Geist and your player profiles and all that good stuff. So this is like just a virtual console is how we're kind of modeling our entire ecosystem. So that's like the language we use just for purposes of kind of communicating why, you know, the chain experience of gaming on Geist with Aavegotchi. So the Aavegotchi, you know, gaming console on Geist is essentially where like games will live. As far as memberships go, anyone can participate in playing our games. That's going to be open to the public. However, there's going to be certain rewards and opportunities that are only available to members. So like you cannot receive in-game rewards if you're not a member of the chain. There's also going to be we've got a great checklist on the Geist Play on Geist website that kind of compares non-members to members. So that's something we can share also maybe through your channels. But the primary is that like in order to gain rewards, you'll need to be a member of the chain. Primary reason for this is that we think farming and bots in Web3 gaming is one of the biggest, you know, problems that we've got. It's also, you know, a problem that is extremely, I guess you could say justifiable in the minds of many of these projects because they're trying to build, they need DAU. So it's this kind of mutually beneficial parasitic relationship that exists between bot farms and Web3 games. Being that we kind of were able to raise ourselves and we don't have too much or any influence from like any VCs or any investors, we don't really have like these growth metrics that we need to hit that maybe some of these other traditional games or ecosystems do. So what that's allowing for us to do is to try to slowly build a base of like real players that are interested in participating in our ecosystem over time. By doing that through a membership program, we'll be able to maintain rewards for those players without like any extreme loss to farmers or bots. And we just believe that this is like the way to sustainably grow a true Web3, you know, gaming community and ecosystem. I think right now the difficulty a lot of games are facing is there's a lot of money that came into the space, and money unfortunately has like a big effect on things. I spent a lot of time working in the entertainment industry before I worked in Web3. And part of that was making independent films. And it's very interesting. Like the first thing, if you have a good script, the first thing they'll do is to try to attach bigger talent to get more money, despite how cheaply you can actually make the movie. And what happens is it's just like they grow the budget and they grow the spend. And I think we've seen that happen a lot in Web3 gaming. And part of that's been, you know, certain entities have come and spread money out all over the place. And, you know, it's an offer you can't refuse to a certain extent. So we feel like very lucky that we can grow the community and the chain in an organic way.
Right.
I think that's just simply just like a luxury that many of these projects don't have because they're like on the treadmill now. So they've got to like get the DAU, they've got to like go out and spend a ton on marketing to get like, you know.
Well, they also got to meet the expectations of these VCs that are funding them, right? Like, that's the problem too, that a lot of these games are like, obviously they do racing rounds and stuff like that, and they have this set expectations from the people that they're racing as well, aside from their own expectations that they have with the flow of their roadmap and stuff like that. And what you touched on, right? Like building organically is one of the hardest things to do from a gaming perspective, whether you're a developing team or a community perspective, right? Like that's something that we take pride here in Catalyst as well, because that's been our focus with our community as well. It's just, how do we continue building organically? How do we continue bringing people into our communities and want to be a part of this thing that we're building in an organic way, where we're not just like making a bunch of false promises and stuff like that just for the sake of growing that number, right? Another thing you mentioned, being self-funded, you know, being a team that's been self-funded for the majority of it, right? Like that's something that you don't see often either. So really cool stuff from you guys, man. I wanted to hit you with a question that we used to have a segment early on in this show where we used to go over like our game of the week type of thing. But I wanted to kind of switch it around a little bit and ask you, out of all the games inside the Aavegotchi ecosystem, which one is your absolute top favorite one?
I mean, I love Guardians just because, like, I think it's our most polished title, and I also see the potential there. It feels like, it's cliche to say, but I think it's like ahead of its time for, not only tower defense, but for like all of the crypto functionality that we're building into it. So I'm really excited to see that like fully fleshed out product, like hit the market with an actual like user base.
Yeah.
That's, I think, one of the things we want to see more of for sure is users in the space, like actual or players, not users, but like actual real players.
Right, that are going to like be there grinding the game every single day. I have to agree with you, man. I think out of everything that I've tried in the Aavegotchi ecosystem, Guardians is my top favorite one. It's just there's something special about it, and I talk about it all the time. For a tower defense, I'm not the biggest fan of tower defense games, but that one, man, is so unique. It makes it so much fun. Like you just want to continue playing it, and it's also a game that allows casual players to just relax a little bit too, like while they're playing. Like it could be very strategic, very like grindy, where you can also just like casually sit back and like play the game, So I think it's a super cool product that you guys have there with Gashi Guardian. And I do think it's gonna bring on the masses once you guys go, like you're saying, start building that user base and that DAU. But yeah, man, that's great answers coming from Jason here. So many questions, man.
Yeah, man. Light Piglet, just to go back to Transistor, yeah, he's nasty, bro. Like, I'm not a big RTS guy, but I really did enjoy Guardians, and I'm not someone that co-signs things that I don't like. Like I'm like, I don't know if you guys know me around the space, like I'm very brutally honest if I fucking hate something. And I was playing Guardians and I was like, I don't know, man, like Spirit Force kind of felt like it was more of my game in the ecosystem, and then I tried Guardians, and I was like, "Yo, like this is actually fun." And then I'm going against Transistor, and I'm like, "Yo, I'm holding my own." Like, Clouds gave me some tips, and all of a sudden I'm going against this Transistor guy, and I'm like feeling myself. And then we get to like round 18, and he just completely washes me, dude. So I got to get in there. Because I gotta redeem myself,
bro. I gave this man tips and I still lost. I still lost first, man. I don't get it, bro. I don't get it. I'm supposed to be the experienced player over here. I'm giving tips and I'm still losing in round 1, bro. Like, what the heck?
Can't count your chickens before they hatch.
I know, man. It's crazy.
Oh man, we should form a 3-man drop team for the next competitions. Yeah, man. I mean, that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, you definitely should do that. Drop's another awesome title. You made me pick a favorite, so I picked a favorite, but
I had to do it to you, man. I know you guys have some great titles in there, so I had to see which one you were leaning towards the most.
Yeah, for like the crowd, can you expand more on Dropped?
Yeah, it's kind of a infinite dungeon scroller.
Oh,
yeah. So it's like kind of a retro game experience, but I think it's really it has some really fun crypto mechanics. So I think you could play Dropped.io for folks out there can play like the current demo there, but that'll be yeah.
I just thought of an interesting question. So let's just say for those who haven't gone through this ecosystem yet, what would you say is the best game that would be like the starter game?
Yeah, so I would say Guardians. I think Guardians is a great one to, especially if you're familiar with like tower defense games, like that'll be easy to jump into. I think it's a good representation of like, it represents our brand really well. The characters are super fun, and it also features a bunch of our different characters and ecosystem elements in there. So I think that's like a great first entry for people. If they are more crypto savvy, then I would say like Dropped is also a good one to play. I think currently like you need to connect a wallet and all that. So I think, for the time being, that would be maybe a secondary one. But if you go to Aavegotchi.com and go to our games drop down, you can access, all of our games there. But for folks that have an iOS device, we have a game called Licky's Escape.
Yeah.
It is a physics puzzler, and that's in the App Store right now. So that's like obviously like that's a great game, and you can play that offline. It's super duper fun. So that's another one. But that's a mobile game and only iOS right now.
Yeah, and I will say with Gacha Guardian specifically, the new skins that you guys dropped are super sick, man. I'm definitely grinding to get those, and also it just shows what a strong IP can do for a game, right? Because I do feel like Avagashi is one of those brands that has a super strong IP for so many different industries, right? Not just gaming. I see you guys as like a powerful IP for like toys or like, you know, just anything like physical products, really, you know? So
it's really cool fun stuff. When you play a gacha game, you feel like you're actually in a new universe. It doesn't feel like
that's the absolute best implement we can get. You know, that's really like, build with
it all just comes together so beautifully, and it's so much fun to, you know, like the liquidators and how that actually plays into like the crypto nativeness of it. Like it's all so well thought out, and it's special. It genuinely is very special. Like I've played pretty much every game in this ecosystem, and like one of the things that I've always told teams is like own the universe, right? Like don't, for example, I was consulting with an ARPG like 6 months ago, and they were like calling their Magic Find system, which is, you know, inspired by Diablo 2. They were calling it like loot bonus rarity, and I'm like, dude, like own it, like come up with a unique fucking name. And then I go play Gachi, and everything has its own unique name and its unique meaning. You guys even have a glossary for how many unique things you have, and like it's a beautiful thing, man. I really enjoy that aspect of it.
You can absolutely tell when it's like a passion project versus like something that they just thought of like when they were like at 3 a.m. doing some stupid shit. And I definitely see like the passion project side of Avagachi for sure.
Yeah, and also
founders are beyond.
Go ahead, Loud.
I was just gonna touch on like what you were saying, because it's so true, man. When you own that universe the way you're explaining it, right? Even like when you see the Avagashi universe, like you can see its own interoperability across all of their titles. Like when you're talking about the liquidators, right? They have a purpose inside Gachi Guardian, but then you also see them in Spirit Force, right? Like kind of roaming around, and it's like a PvE battle that you got to do in there, right? Like there's so much interoperability within its own IP across all the title that's what makes it special to me. Because when you go and explore all these other different games that they have available, you find some relation to whatever game you enjoy, right? Like if you enjoy Gachi Guardians, you're gonna see some of that IP in Spirit Force, you know, and so on. Same thing with Lickies and all that type of stuff. So really, really cool that you guys have, again, such a strong IP.
That lore just kind of like compounds and builds that fandom, in my opinion. It's like all that lore is connected.
It made a bigger fan out of me when we were playing it, you know.
That's true.
Quick, we're gonna take a quick ad break. Then I'm going to shout out some people in the chat, and then I got my next question that kind of expands on what we've already been talking about. So
let's go. Let's give a shout out to the sponsors real quick.
Are you kidding me? Not again, dude.
Are you tired of losing, Crypto Hollow?
What's that sound? It sounds familiar. Who is that?
It is I, the Demon King, and boy, do I have the solution for you.
Holy moly, it must be my birthday. Welcome to the GEIST, world's first members-only Layer 3 blockchain built for gaming. Powered by Avagachi, Base, Arbitrum, and Alchemy, it's where the brave come to play. GEIST isn't just another blockchain, it's here to change on-chain gaming as you know it. Finishing bots and endless player churn, our exclusive member unlocks scarily good rewards across every game on GEIST. With the spectral speed of Arbitrum, you'll experience fast transactions in a native NFT marketplace through the Avagachi Bazaar. And for those daring to build, GEIST grants permission, contact deployment, and spellbinding tools from Alchemy to make your mark. Don't get left in the shadows. Join the on-chain gaming revolution with GEIST. Chat, yeah, I'm talking to you, chat. Did you guys know that Arbitrum's got some fire games for you to try out? From racing a kitty cart to battling in golden ties, Arbitrum's got it all. Want to be a pirate? Pirate Nation is calling you. Feeling adventurous? Explore Meiji on the Zai subnet. Or if you're into strategy, Maelstrom on the Uprising chain is your jam. Don't take my word for it. Try it out for yourself and level up your gaming life on Arbitrum today. Warning, these games give you too much hype. Follow Arbitrum Games for more. Crypto Huddle approves this message. Wow, I'm just a
Man.
great,
Yo,
great
Cap.
spokesman,
And
great
and
actor.
that fanboy, my co-founder, dude. Those abs are so fucking good.
Hado's just kills it, man. He's built different.
Call me Hollywood.
Mr. Hollywood over here, Mr. Hollywood, man. Now, shout outs to our sponsor. Thank you guys for being support to our shows and our ecosystem here at Catalyst. Definitely appreciate it. Missy, take it away, brother.
All right, real quick. I gotta catch up to some people in the chat. Mizzy puts the cat in Catalyst.
Wait.
No.
Beef Bases is going to Austin? Oh shit.
Oh shit. Yo,
yeah, he's been on a long road trip. Yeah,
you gotta link up with Otto.
I live in Austin. What's up, brother?
What? You gotta get some barbecue, my friends.
Dude, I got so many comments to catch up on. So give me a second. Mizzy puts the cat in Catalyst. Yes, fucking sir. I don't know. Maybe I need to make like a cat skin. I think that would.
You need the
fun.
cat. You need the cat bell, bro.
Bro, I think it would be a lot of fun. Your kitty cat also loves you too, Jackie. Shout out Jackie, my wife. Sorry, dude. If I don't call her out, I'm gonna get destroyed. Just kidding. She's gonna destroy me for that. Much love, guys. Jason Navagacci, you're great. We would agree. Icy also says happy birthday, Hado. All right. BB was good. Hado kind of like front ran me on shouting you out. He's trying to like do the same thing I do to him to me, but it doesn't bother me, so it doesn't work.
It did bother you because you said no like 1,000 times.
Okay, bro.
Go back to cat mode. I want to go back to cat mode.
Yeah, BB, long time fucking Catalyst OG. Great seeing you, bro. I hope you have a great road trip.
Stay safe.
I know you've been excited for this one for a minute, so I love to see it. Have fun, bro, and keep us posted. Post all types of pics. We'll jump in, we'll comment, like all that shit. All right, now to the question that I've been looking forward to asking.
It's
a hard one.
So far, to expand on like the gaming conversation that we've been having. So far, it looks like you guys have like 5 different developers building on GEIST. Can I confirm that? Is that correct?
Yeah. So I mean, it depends on how you look at it, but us, the studio Pixelcraft that developed the project, we have a few titles that are in development. Each one of those titles has an independent game director, but then we do have a handful. It's probably a bit more than 5 total. But yeah, we are also sourcing games from indie studios, from the community. I'd say half, if not a little more than half of the games that we're going live with were derived directly from the Aavegotchi community. So folks that showed up with a proof of concept and then received funding through DAO voting to launch the game.
Yeah. So can you like get I guess a little deeper with that? Like, how can a project build in the ecosystem, and what's that relationship like? I know there's a DAO voting process and things like that.
Yeah.
But, I guess more of like the boots on the ground kind of explanation of it.
Yeah, so we have a full SDK that's available through our website, for people to get started, to mess around with the assets and to start to build for the ecosystem. We have a form, which I think you guys have a link to that you can share with your community. That form is for builder partnerships. So if anyone is interested in bringing a game over, they can fill that form out. It'll go directly to me, and I will be in touch about how we can start talking about that process. And then, if there is interest in launching the game on GEIST, there's a few different ways that can play out. First we can look at it from the Pixelcraft side and say, like, do we want to internally fund this game and bring on the project in whatever state it's in, and then work with them to finish, to bring it over the finish line? Do we think this is something that would be better funded and suited for the DAO? Or do we want to kind of just give them some guidelines and let them finish the project on their own and then work on some type of launch partnership? So there's multiple ways that a project could onboard. And I'd say that also, in addition to games, we're also looking for other products to launch on GEIST, both on the DeFi side. We're not just looking for big in-depth gaming experiences, like hyper casual stuff is interesting. We'd love to see someone come over and build maybe like a companion experience that lives between like, desktop and Telegram. So we're very eager to talk to the builders out there. And the best way to start that conversation would be through that form that I shared.
With that in mind, do you think will you say then that the community and the governing body is more interested in like indie developers rather than like AAA studios approach, like like when it comes to like building experiences?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I will say we were talking about IP before, and we're talking about seeing these gotchis and kind of how fun they were. You will start to see our IP in other ecosystems in the very near future. So there will be titles that launch both from like some pretty big studios as well as like smaller crypto studios where you'll see Aavegotchis living inside of these other games. So that's like just one additional way that we're like expanding on the IP and kind of like taking it outside of just GEIST alone. But I think anyone that's interested in incorporating gotchis into what they've already built, it's a great home for them.
Awesome.
And that kind of digs into my next question a little bit, where I wanted to learn more about what kind of projects and gaming experiences would you really like to add to the ecosystem? Like, what are your like top 5 to like 10 things that you would love to see more of, or that you guys don't have anything of at all so far?
So I think, and I've been telling a lot of our partners this in recent conversations, is I'd love to see like more hyper casual experiences come over and launch on GEIST. I think that it suits a lot of the
IP, for sure.
And also the IP. There's like so many fun ways that you could incorporate all of this great IP we've built into some more basic gaming experiences, and then using all these crypto levers. There's a lot of ways to make that experience even more fun by having some type of stakes involved. So I think. And I also think what I've been suggesting, and if anyone out there is listening, I think bundled hyper casual experiences are something that are really interesting to us. So maybe taking a bunch of IP from your overall ecosystem and then creating a handful of mini games around different elements of that IP, and then creating like a branded virtual arcade experience on GEIST.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I think that for me personally, this is something I'm trying to work on with a few partners. I'm trying to figure out who's going to be the first one to finally do it. But in my opinion, this is a really great way to like give your community a gameplay experience that incorporates your IP, as well as taking advantage of like our pretty robust token infrastructure, so that the rewards are something that are already kind of like baked in. And you don't have to deal with like, launching your own chain or your own token if that's not something you've already done or aren't interested in.
No, I think that's sick, man. And I think, to be honest, that's something I tell people pretty often, where I tell them, if you don't know how to do the Web3 or the crypto native side, partner with someone that does. And like, I feel a lot of people just undertake that added responsibility unnecessarily. So I mean, I like that route for Gotchi a lot. I think that it makes sense with the IP. I think like Gotchi would be like big with moms, like like I know any mom I've shown Gotchi to, because like for whatever reason I do have like a semi big network of like moms in Web3 gaming. And they're all like Gotchi fans.
Wait.
They're like all Gotchi fans.
Bro.
For the children and the moms.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I can agree with what you're saying though.
Moms and stuff, they're all like big on Gotchi, like they enjoy it,
I can agree with what you're saying, because I show I showed specifically like Gush Guardian to a few friends of mine that are like, past their 30s or so, and they were all like saying the same thing. This is a super cute IP. I would definitely play this. I would spend some time on this. And then I showed it to my wife, I would consider her more of a hyper casual player. She enjoys games that are like, cute IPs, more like relaxed and stuff. And she absolutely loved this. So she's going to start playing it very soon here as well. So it's definitely attracting all sorts of crowds, where there's a younger crowd and, the older crowd as well.
Yeah, I mean, once it gets going, it really kind of is a progressive game. So like once you start to build out the map and things start popping off, it's very, very engaging. And I think like we've all been on the plane next to the like League of Legends lady. So like I think when I see Guardians, like I can see that like once it's on chain and on mobile, the rest of the world will decide when we can actually do that. But like once this is actually like out there, I could see people just like getting very sucked into that game and tapping.
Yeah, for sure, easily. Yeah, like my mom used to play like Diablo 2 and like all these sweaty like RPG games, but then she was also like equally sweaty at like Bejeweled, and I could see my mom like going crazy with Gachi Guardians, where she's like every turn she's like, oh shit, like I gotta level this one up and I gotta add this. Like I could totally see my mom on her iPad just like going nuts with Guardians. And on the DeFi,
where when I flew, people were just like, it was crazy how many Bejeweled zombies there were.
Yeah,
it was so wild.
Yeah. And on the DeFi side of the ecosystem, like, what would you like to see, from people that want to build in Gachi, on GEIST specifically?
Yeah, so DEXs, I think are interesting. I think DeFi products that like integrate like our assets are really cool. I think there's lots of ways you can gamify. I know internally we're going to launch some really like fun and exciting stuff around DeFi, utilizing like the rest of our ecosystem. So I think that will hopefully also incentivize some other folks to creatively think about building DeFi products for GEIST.
Yeah, I love to hear that you guys are thinking about this, because something I've been telling a lot of people as well is like Web3 is supposed to be an all-encompassing experience. It's not supposed to be just like, yeah, on-chain ownership and all that is cool, but like we're actually supposed to do shit that you couldn't do with like WoW Gold, right? Like imagine being able to like DeFi farm with WoW Gold and shit like that. Like that to me is exciting, right? So
or building marketplaces are way better, like than for example the Steam
exactly.
marketplace. Like we need to actually have transactions, or like
we have to do stuff with the assets that, of course, like it's on the game to create some of these cool like these experiences, but maybe some devs that want to build a game should build like in like supporting gamer tools around the game rather than trying to build the game, like maybe studios that aren't as well funded. Like, I see studios all the time that don't even have like 500K in funding, and they're like, we're going to build a game. And I'm just like, dude, you could have just built a DEX and probably had way more success.
I think a really interesting use case for that, or like one of the most successful, like if you see like what the Degen coin flips guys did on Solana, like even stuff like that it's so simple, but I think that's like, I kind of wish there was more like super Degen stuff. Like I know everyone maybe thinks like, and I don't know what essentially the community would approve, but I know we would love to see some like real heavy Degen ideas come through the door. So
yeah,
don't be shy. Bring in your most Degen ideas to GEIST.
Yeah, Degen motherfuckers.
Do you guys think that Degen mentality though is kind of shifting out of Web3 now that more people, I feel like if you were an OG like 2019 all the way to maybe 2021, 2022 early on, right? Like Degen was basically everything you would see in the space. Now is a lot more gamers have entered Web3 space, and like they're just focused on gameplay and like whether there's good games or not in the space. Do you guys think that Degen mentality is kind of like shifting out of Web3 gaming, or is there's still a very big spot for it here?
I mean, I think personally, like that should be the bonus level or bonus layer to all of this stuff. Like if you're a true like Web3 ecosystem, like I grew up, you know, playing like NBA jams in the arcade, and like if you knew how to like go into tank mode, like to me that's like tank mode is like the degen layer of all ecosystems. So like we obviously, you know, I think also we have the unique opportunity to onboard more degen activity without too much concern for like damaging the ecosystem, because we've got the stability of being around for as long as we have. So I think that's one thing to consider. Like obviously you don't want to bring in a bunch of degen stuff that like completely destroys like your token value or devalues the ecosystem because it's just extractive. But I think in a smart way, in a stable ecosystem, you can have this like layer of like degen activity for the folks that are like really interested in participating without having to affect you know, everyone else, you know, kind of like the high rollers room or something. Like no one knows what's going on behind those doors, but they're just playing their like $1 slots. And
Dude, but that's a great way to look at it, right? Because we talk about this often, how people that are really into like Web3 technology or just crypto in general or degen, right? They should have still a way to experience that within any ecosystem, right? But it shouldn't be forced upon people, right? It should be something that is naturally discovered within an ecosystem, or all of a sudden you stumble upon it and you're like, what the heck is this room, right? Like, what is this back room? And everybody playing the $1 slots. I want to do that. You know, if you're really interested, there should be a pathway to get there. But there was this weird like stage of Web3 where like that was kind of being forced on people that didn't have that interest, right? And I think that kind of hurt the space a little bit in that sense. But I agree with you. I would still love for like the degen part to be part of all of the ecosystems that we're building here, right? Because I feel like it's part of the culture that was built here in Web3 too. So just my opinion on those things, but I agree with your points, Jason.
I do want to ask you a quick question here. Do you ever foresee any kind of VR experiences, either by community or yourselves, with this IP?
Yeah, we are open to talking to spatial developers right now, and we plan on, you know, the Gotchiverse is, you know, that's one of the biggest upgrades we have going on with our migration to GEIST. You know, up until now, the Gotchiverse has been 2D, so our team has been working on creating the 3D Gotchiverse experience, which will be eventually, like we hope, you know, a virtual space for our community. You know, right now we use Discord for a lot of this, or this kind of like what a lot of projects do, which is this hybrid of like Discord, your website, you know, bringing all of this together, I think is like the actual, like the metaverse dream that we were all feverish on years ago. But I think like it's slowly coming together. And I think like, you know, for the Gotchiverse, we'll want people to experience that through like spatial devices for sure. So, you know, not only making our current content available to experience through like spatial device, but like we are also definitely interested in talking to developers. I'd love to start that conversation with the first person designing specifically spatial experience for GEIST. That would be awesome.
That would be awesome. And Trax was saying, personally, I want to see an AI powered choose your own Gashi themed D&D game. That would be insane, dude. Like, you mean like if
Yes,
AI
sir.
would like be making D&D campaigns? That would be crazy.
Yeah, dude, that's a funny story with D&D. I actually lost most of my memory a couple years ago with COVID, and I purely rehabbed through D&D campaigns.
Really? No way.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That is
I
actually
like
insane.
my sister had. I froze for a second, but my sister and her husband had like this Discord server, and I literally could not remember a lot. So I was just like at this weird point in my life where I didn't know what to do next. And my sister's like, "You want to play D&D?" And I was like, "Sure, fuck it." So I actually ended up playing like 3 campagns a week for like a year and a half.
That is crazy.
That's how I rehabbed my brain. Yeah.
Well, do you know that like
D&D.
for traumatic brain injuries, Tetris is what they suggest. There's like,
really?
Yeah, there's multiple documentaries you can watch on this, but like playing Tetris after a traumatic brain injury like helps significantly with like restoring because like I guess the first like 3 to 4 days after that brain injury is where like things will either develop again or kind of just like prune. And Tetris was very helpful in.
That's crazy.
That's really
Very
interesting,
interesting.
actually. I still stand by my point. Tetris had the most OP playlist song of all times. All right, this game was that. I don't know, man. Like, listen, if you never heard the theme song for Tetris, it's the most lit theme song that you ever see. Okay,
It's so lit that they've had tons of remixes too.
Through the
Yeah.
original Game Boy speakers, that Tetris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, bro.
Like
Yes.
nothing else. Yeah.
Hey, but wait a second. I gotta ask a question real quick because I see Tracks with the super awesome Avagashi shirt. I see Jason with the Avagashi beanie. How do the people get some Avagashi merch, man? Because I'm the one known in Catalyst for opening all the loot boxes, all the CS:GO crates. I may need some Avagashi merch in
You're
my
a
life.
degen right here.
Opening,
Put
man.
you on the
Yes,
list
sir.
for sure.
Oh,
So-
okay. There's a
Oh,
list. There's a
shit.
list.
So we had for the last couple of years, but we're actually in transition, and I'm about 1 to 2 weeks away from launching our new shop, which is going to have
Ooh.
a ton of apparel and other items. So when that goes live, we'll definitely get you a link to share. In the meantime, if y'all are, I think some of you are in Florida, but if you're
Yes,
down
sir.
in Art Basel, we're going to be doing an event with our buddies, the Goons, and we're going to have tons of apparel down there. to
Oh,
give-
we'll
yeah.
You gonna have
definitely be
hoodies?
visiting you guys.
Yeah,
we're actually
we're
heading
gonna
to
be
Art
there.
Basel ourselves as well. We're doing a little thing there that's a surprise. Definitely stay tuned. We haven't announced it yet, but we'll definitely make sure to pass
Well,
by you
let's
guys.
talk offline because we have a little gaming lounge, so maybe we can do a
Ooh,
event inside the gaming lounge there.
Let's go.
let's talk. I like it. All right. I'm done with my
I
asking
had-
questions about merch.
Yeah, I had a quick question that was kind of a part of the earlier conversation that I wanted to roll back to. And there's something that you mentioned to me that was like very interesting. You said specifically like if a project wants to bring their IP to Geist and kind of incorporate it within the Gotchiverse, I can't help but ask, like, I know the story behind Geist and the Poltergeist and all that stuff. Carla kind of like broke it down for us, and I thought that was so sick. But it's part of like, because I remember the initial name was like the Gotchi chain and stuff, right?
Right.
So it was part of like the rebrand to Geist, so that other people felt like they could build like non-ghost experiences on the chain, or like what's that part of it look like? Because I know, for example, like there might be a couple developers that I mentioned to it, but they might ask that question, like, do we have to incorporate the ghost? Like, how does that work? Things like that.
Yeah. So currently, we still do want Avagachi IP incorporated in some meaningful way with all the titles at launch. That does not mean that you need to like reskin the entire game. This is more, I like to use early Nintendo as like kind of an analog, but like the way that you saw kind of the same shape plants or buildings across different games, the way that Mario is the one throwing the barrels at Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Just incorporating like in Zelda, the shopkeeper, could very well have, that could be Gotchi, your spirit guide through the woods. So right now we do want Avagachi IP incorporated in some meaningful way, and that's something that we can like leave up to the studio to come up with, or we can work with them on. That being said, the decision to launch as Geist and not Gotchi Chain definitely was to make it more welcoming to other IPs. And down the road, we don't want to lock into, that decision. Maybe we will decide down the road to do some non-Gotchi related titles, but for now, this is the move.
Yo, I gotta hop in here. You mentioned Nintendo. We've seen Avagachi characters, what they look like and stuff. It's like the perfect console for you, right? The Switch. Any plans on going console based for your IPs games?
I mean, it would be to have Gotchis live on any Nintendo console would be a dream come true for sure. I think Nintendo is honestly, I could just say personally, I think they are like, they really killed it, in the long game. You see like, their experiences that they're building in Japan. They have the theme park, but they just opened the museum last month in Kyoto. And the way that they've really owned their IP is like a masterclass. So like we would any kind of partnership with them would be great. We are making a big push in the Asian market with a major focus on Japan. So who knows? Maybe we'll get on their radar. But it might be Sony before Nintendo these days. Who knows?
Yeah, well, I do agree with you, man. I think Nintendo is one of those brands that did a really good job at building a historical IP that didn't fall under the pressures of having to develop new products every single year to kind of like survive. Like if you look at Nintendo, the most like famous IPs that they have, obviously Mario, Pokemon, Zelda, right? And those games are still around to this day. Those titles are still coming out, to this day as a main focus for them. When you think of a company like Microsoft, you think maybe like Halo, but Halo's not really around like that with Xbox nowadays, So it's kind of interesting to see Nintendo like build this IP that was a historical monument,
Yeah, I mean, I am an old man, so I can tell you, I got a Power Glove for Christmas one year. My neighbor there used to be a robot. Like probably most people don't even know this, but there was this like awful game for Nintendo, but it had a robot that would pick up these chips and move them.
Rob,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's my character in Smash Bros. My favorite character.
Okay, yeah. So like they also were a company that took chances over time, right?
Yeah.
They really did like try a lot of crazy stuff. A lot of it did not necessarily work, but they definitely like owned the brand and always were kind of adjusting their like long-term vision based on what was popular. And I think, probably a lot of those early findings and like all of the fails of the Power Glove probably led to the success of like the Switch, or the Wii.
Yeah.
So taking those chances and like keeping the focus over time is what I think allowed them to be such a strong brand. So it is really an inspiration to see a company like that build, what they have.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, man. Well, let's move on to the next topics here real quick. We've been touching a lot about communities, and obviously we touched on the DAO, we touched on the migration that's happening. I wanted to touch a little bit on like a little bit more on community, right? Because that's like a big focus for us at Catalyst too. We always focus on community and building culture, right? Focusing a lot on pop culture and bringing that to our brand. When it comes to the Aavegotchi community, maybe not just the Aavegotchi community, but community in general, maybe some like friendly advice for other people building communities out there. What do you think is that secret sauce that kind of binds everything together in a community to make it super strong and, allow it not to shift focus frequently, right? Like kind of like if we're focused on building culture, let's focus heavily on that. If we're focused on building games, let's focus heavily on that, right? What do you think is that secret sauce that's kind of like the glue to that?
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a conversation about community, but I think leadership is like honestly really the most important thing at the end of the day. And I do think that like our projects really, we're really lucky to have founders that have like maintained a strong vision and work towards that vision. And like I think that's part of what's worked for us is that like we are very old in the context of Web3, and we've built trust throughout that time. So that becomes this like, as quickly as things change, we are learning that all of these like long-term, the long-term things that we've done are the most valuable, and they're the things that other projects are now like trying to achieve. Like I get a lot of projects that ask like, how do you get listed on Coinbase? And it's like, well, launch 4 years ago, because you're not going to launch a gaming token now and get listed on Coinbase.
Build a time travel, my friend, because you're gonna.
Yeah, so I think like just like the consistency of the leadership for the project has instilled a sense of trust that allows people to like confidently, stay with us and be part of the process. Obviously, like some people, people lose interest over time. They've got like financial interests that they need to meet. So like you're going to always deal with that. But I think like having leadership that is like honored what the vision was is like first and foremost something that's like extremely rare, right? That alone, like a project that actually like does what it says it was going to do from the very beginning without like making drastic changes without consulting the community alone is kind of a rare thing. So, you know, that's my like long answer is I do think like leadership, even though these things are community driven, having like leadership as a guide was very important to getting the community to each next stage of autonomy. And I think like that's where we eventually get to is like where you finally fully take your hand off of like the kid's back when it's riding the two-wheeler. But I think like for other projects, the problem has been like the guiding force has not been like steady, right?
Yeah.
So like the community is getting thrown all over the place, and you know, so
They
I
don't
think
know what that North Star is. Who's guiding the ship, right? Like I agree, man. I think that's a great advice, actually. I think a strong leader also should not only should they have conviction to lead that community into where they want to go and make sure that the goal stays the same, but also have an open mind to listen to the feedback that is being provided, right? And like seeing how that's gonna make it better. Because sometimes leadership can get very egotistical at times, right? And they think not it's either my way or no other way, you know. But I think strong leaders have that quality as well, where they're able to listen to the people around them and the team that they've built around them and kind of work as a working unit, almost like Wu-Tang used to say, right? Like we gotta come together like Voltron and like get all this feedback and everything that's going on into one place and like go that way, you know, like go full force.
Yeah, over pivoting is detrimental, man.
Yeah, man. Pivoting is so hard, man. Like you know, like
and that's something I want to definitely just quickly say is that like that community drive is why like Web3 is so exciting, is when you have an entire community of people all over the world working towards a similar goal. It's like really impressive what can happen. So like I know I mentioned like leadership is like so important, but like the benefit of that solid leadership is having this like literal army of people that are working on content, working on creating gaming experiences, that are thinking of like new ways to use the assets in the ecosystem, out there being ambassadors on their own for no other benefit than their love for the project. So like that solid leadership is really what allows like Web3 to have the impact that it does, which is like literally a global force working towards whatever the community incentive is. It's just oftentimes that incentive is very like short-sighted.
Absolutely.
No, that is, you know, that's a great way to put it. And, you know, I think a lot of projects in this space could learn from you guys when it comes to that. Like, I love the fact that every time I look at Gotcha, you guys have just developed more on what you already initially said you were going to do. And the community always feels a little bigger. Some new faces, you recognize that some old faces aren't around anymore, but you see new faces coming together, and it's like unification around a vision. That's why I got into Web3 for. And I understand a lot of people in this space are always trying to find their place, so they might like move around or over pivot or do certain things. But you know, like my guy Thrax said here, like if you pivot too many times, you're just going in circles.
100%.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And Avagachi's always been like this place that I can look at and be like, they just get it. Like whether or not it works for them, like they're sticking to their guns, and I respect the shit out of that. And obviously, it's worked for you guys up to this point. So,
absolutely,
you know, always very excited for that. And
be faced that Wu-Tang is for the children, baby.
Absolutely.
You already know. That's culture right there. Let's throw it up. You know, hey, listen,
I don't have arms, but I would.
I think we're the only ones to
go
know
back
who
to your
Wu-Tang
cat
is.
form, bro. Go back to your cat form. Now, listen, real quick, because the Avagachi community has been on fire today, and you guys have been doing such an amazing job being here, supporting Jason as he's going through this podcast as well. We actually have a little surprise for you guys. I'm gonna pull up in the screen real quick. And this is something that we do across all of our shows, but especially when we have really special guests as well. Let me, here we go. It's giving me troubles. All right. So what you see in the screen here is a little thing that we do for games when they come on our show. We make like this little special cardish and collectible. It's a free collectible that you can go claim. We'll be dropping the link here shortly, or you can find it. We'll probably put it in the comment sections as well when the live stream is over. But you guys will be able to claim this free badge that Missy and one of our other co-founder, Damien, always works on. They do a great job with the design. But yeah, this one we made it special for the Gushy Guardians specifically, because that's probably one of our favorite titles. We do it in the style of that PS1 card cassette old school cassette. But it's a free mint that you guys can claim.
PS1
PS1.
CD.
Yeah. What? Oh, it's a
cassette.
cassette. Sorry, my bad, man. I'm old, bro. I'm old. I'm showing my
CD.
age. I'm showing my age. All right,
Disc.
CDs. My bad. This, my bad. But yeah, you guys can go free. Feel free to go claim it for free. Start your collection. These CDs do have some utility inside the Catalyst ecosystem, so definitely hold on to them because they are going to be very special later on. But yeah, this one's going to be for the Avigashi and the GEIST community, so feel free that you guys go claim that.
Shout out to my guy Clouds, man. Give him a break. This is his first time doing the
cartridge
for the PS1 cartridge.
Ah, dude.
Oh man,
PS1 cartridge is hilarious.
That was rough. Never let me do that again. Never let me do that again. Right?
Oh man.
Hey, I'm the one getting older here. Come on now.
This is why you do the ass, Hato, not me.
This is why I do them. Yeah, exactly.
But we're gonna drop that. Like Cloud said, it will have utility within our ecosystem very shortly. Actually, we're getting closer to delivering on our one of our secret things that we've been building. So we'll make a more formal announcement soon. But yeah, I do the PS1s on those because they're so nostalgic, and Gotchi Guardians, it just felt right, like in a PS1 format. I know, like traditionally, the most of the Gotchi ecosystem feels more Nintendo, but when I was playing Gotchi Guardians, I was like, bro, it kind of took me back to like PS1 when I was a kid, So I was like, we gotta do Gotchi Guardians for this one. So
yeah, no, that's
shout out Damien.
Yeah, shout out to Damien.
Shout out Damien.
But all right, so something that we were kind of touching on a little bit, and that I wanted to like get deeper with was, you guys have been building in this space for 5 years, and we talked a lot about like conviction, leadership, community. What would you say has been the most turbulent time for you guys as a project, and how did you get through that experience?
Yeah, I think for that I speak like more in generalities, which is like, anytime there's a major upgrade or decision to be made around the ecosystem, because things are a vote, there can be, during those times while the vote is live, that's when you're going to get a lot of the heated discussion over, whatever the initiative may be. So I'd say like for us, there was definitely like over the 4 years, there's been like, you could probably pinpoint a few like bad situations. We've had like, like some hack type stuff that's happened, but ultimately I don't see like those few situations really having had any long-term effect over like the protocol or the project. So I think like more of like the, internal strife comes when there's like a big decision on the line and you've got folks that have differing opinions on which direction we should go, which is always, at least that's happening publicly before the decision's made and not after.
Well, I mean, that's a good way to put it. And what do you usually see as like the biggest, I guess, hurdle during that? Is it like random community? Because I've been a part of a couple of DAOs. I've seen there's always like that new dude that like jumps in, and then all of a sudden has like a ton of opinions but doesn't do anything. Is it stuff like that, or is it like people fighting over like the long-term vision? Like, what is it?
I'm sure there's an infographic out there that has like the 5 types of DAO members, like there were like the 5 guys in the group chat or whatever. And I think we'd probably definitely check off all of those. So like, it varies. I think there is to some extent like some financial incentive. I think that's like very well known in our project because we have rarity farming. Like I said, we've given over 11 million USD away through rarity farming rewards in the past 4 years. So that is obviously, that money doesn't just like go on forever. So people that are very active in rarity farming want to make sure that they protect those rewards, which is totally understandable. And then, you've got people that want to like go full steam ahead with maybe like, Light Piglet, exactly. Mentioning one of those sore points, which was an exchange, issue. But sorry, I lost my chain of thought there. But I totally lost it.
Yeah, no worries. but for sure,
I went back to like it's like the shells. The
PTSD meme with the Chihuahua.
Quick, Busy, go back to the cat mode.
It's happening again.
Yeah.
Ovix is the worst thing we can think of after 5 years. We're all pretty good. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah. So I was saying, that brought me back. But yeah, like obviously other people are like, they want to say like, YOLO, let's like build AAA gaming experiences, which would also have like an extreme drain, on the treasury. So like at the end of the day, what you get is like a very healthy kind of divergence of opinions, and that is for the most part been able to like play out into what's considered to be fair across like the entire community over the course of the project. So definitely people get sour, and you never know which decision's going to be the one that makes people like floor their bags and leave. But like ultimately that's probably more of a personal thing than like what the project's doing. So
Web3 is the true wild west of the internet right now, man. So props to you guys for navigating that experience.
Yep.
All right, so now that we've given Jason PTSD,
Hey, it wasn't us. It was the guy.
Hey man, do you need some Tetris right now, Jason?
yeah.
What is your what's up, internet phase? Another Gotcha community member, I think.
Yeah. What's up?
Yo, what up?
What's your opinion on Web3 gaming going into 2025? Last few years, we've kind of been like in this weird stagnant period where everyone's like building stuff. We're starting to see things go to market a bit.
Mhm.
So yeah, and where do you think the space goes from here over the next 5 years? Like you've done the last 5 years, where are the next 5 years going?
I like 5 years. I like 5 years a lot more than I like where will we be next year. So, I think first and foremost, like if you just look at the bigger conversation in gaming, I was just at Games Beat Next in San Francisco last week, which is like last year at that convention, the founders of Tetris spoke, in fact. So like they have some really heavy hitters, so getting a lot of insight from like industry leaders, and they're all talking about functionality for the players that they're not using any of our language, but the way that any of that stuff is going to get implemented is 100% going to be blockchain based. So, I think in the medium to long term, we're looking like very, very good. I'm not trying to be bearish, but I think like overall on the short term for crypto gaming, I just think we are still like very, very early. And I think patience is still like extremely important right now. The problem is even as product goes live, and that's a very exciting part of this process, is having like product actually go live. We still need an industry, which doesn't necessarily exist yet. And I think that's going to be like the tail that follows product. But I think we still have like a little ways to go. We're definitely seeing meaningful participation from bigger studios and from, some of the ways that traditional gamers access games. And I think that that's going to be like very, very helpful. But I don't think that there is going to be like a dam break event in the next like year that creates like true like adoption that I think people are, waiting for. But I think there's like tons of opportunity in this in between, which is what we're really looking to seize on, which is to like build up this like early player base that we can reward in a really meaningful way, while also being part of the conversation and partnering with some of these bigger studios as they do dip their toes in the water. And I think that's also part of like the chain strategy. It gives us a great opportunity to kind of like work across the entire gaming space to build up these relationships and experiences and not just like pigeonhole us into like a single game. I think those projects have a much rougher road ahead. if you are a single game launching and you're waiting to like for this industry of Web3 gaming to support your game, I just don't know that the players are there yet. And we haven't really seen outside of, I think, like Off the Grid has been the best example of a game that's like just going to catch and get players in general. Once we have like 5 or 10 of those titles, then I think we're actually looking towards like momentum to create like an actual industry around people.
Even then though, like Off the Grid, I was looking at the Twitch numbers like a day ago. It was only like 90 viewers across the whole category, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it was all.
I mean, once Call of Duty comes out, we all know that games get affected by that. Once Call of Duty has their release, that first month is always brutal for any other game to kind of like get viewers and stuff like that in those platforms. But yeah, like.
But is anyone actually having fun when they play Call of Duty? Probably not.
Hell no.
Yeah,
Ken told me that was skill-based matchmaking, but I'm not gonna.
So they'll leave the game and come back to like better experiences. So
I think something that you could say, like, it seems that the long-term vision for GEIST is kind of to be a publisher, then, right? Like,
yeah,
like an on-chain publisher.
Yeah, I think that's a major part of like when I'm talking to partners. Like I look at us in multiple. We have like multiple kind of like goals. But like publishing is like at the core of everything we're doing. Is we want to be a successful place for people to publish their games and experiences. And we think like we've provided a pretty solid infrastructure to like utilize blockchain as part of whatever that experience is. So that, is kind of like our strategy is to like, it's a little bit of, if you build it, they will come. So, we're trying to just like create the best place for true Web3 gamers to, call home or one of their homes. Like there's people are going to have like, all different places that they're participating in games just as they do now. But we just want to make sure that we're like a full 360 experience for someone who's both like crypto native, a gamer at heart, and also maybe just a casual gamer, give them all an opportunity to come over, play games, earn rewards, and then maybe learn a little bit about crypto and blockchain in the process.
Nice. Yeah. Hell yeah. I mean, that pretty much wraps up the last question for me, man. It's been so crazy seeing you guys go on this journey over the last, like year and a half that we've been in contact. Seeing you guys like talk about publishing now and that side of the vision, I think it's fucking sick. I can't wait to see where you guys are, to next year, 5 years from now. But we want to jump into some more like general topics before we close off the show.
Yeah, and I'm actually glad you guys brought up Off the Grid, because that's the first thing I wanted to bring up real quick and kind of get Jason's opinion on something, because recently Off the Grid did this I'll try to lower the volume there. Sorry, I didn't mean to be that loud. But I wanted to show you guys this because I thought this was super sick.
Amazing.
They did 2 skins, and one of them obviously is Trump, as you see on the screen here, and the other one was Kamala. And I thought this was super dope. And obviously it caused an uproar of reactions across the timeline and across everywhere from people, and everybody was jumping into the game again to get the skins and all that stuff. But what I wanted to ask you, Jason, is how important do you think it is to take advantage of like highly intense moments that are happening in life, or like pop culture, or just culture in general, and take advantage of those moments and implement them into ecosystem in the form of, like we see here, skins or in-game items, etc., and kind of bringing that into the IP so that the community or the users are more like, oh wow, I can believe this brand is so in touch with culture or what's going on in like world events, right? Do you think that's important? Do you think that's kind of like it's not really a focus for, like, it shouldn't be a focus for games, or do you think games should be taking advantage of this type of situations?
Yeah, so I mean, even though we've kind of like the term has evolved over time, like this is in its essence like what you would consider to be mimetic, right? So this is something that is kind of like one of the most elevated like expressions of like meme culture. And this is why people trade tokens for millions of dollars based on like what seem to be kind of like insignificant moments on the internet. But I think that it's extremely important because at the end of the day, I think what it's become, and this is maybe like a little bit more psychological, but like it becomes a qualifier in a way, right? Like the more capable you are of creating something fun and entertaining out of whatever the latest you know thing that's trending is, it kind of shows this level of like internet IQ or like social intelligence. And I think that like that's become one of like the most desired like things that exist right now. Like everyone's trying to like be a tastemaker in their own way, to like be the hero of their feed. And I think like they look to influencers, and like companies or brands are now in essence influencers themselves. So like the more effectively they're able to like capitalize on these moments in whatever way, the more like smart they are, or like trustworthy in this like context of like social IQ, I'd say. And this is like, this translates across like all media forever. This is just the most like extreme version. It's the same reason that like Saturday Night Live being able to do a sketch about what happened the week before, or like a talk show being able to do a sketch about what happened that day, that used to be like the holy grail for like content. Now content finds itself to like be in all these different forms, and like this is just an extension of that. So I think like it's really important for studios that want to like maintain trust, and it's also like, you never know, as we've seen with like a handful of different like trends or even personalities like that have kind of come to prominence over the past 6 months. Like you don't know what's going to catch. So like each one of these is like an opportunity to throw like a line in the water and like hook like a massive fish. So the more effective you are at like capitalizing on moments, the more likely you're going to be able to like catch that current and maybe get that like dam break moment that's going to bring your brand to like the next level.
Yeah, that's a great answer, actually. And I agree. I think a brand that did that really well was Fortnite. They've always done a good job at like staying up on the trends and like making sure they bring that into their game and IP in some way. But with this in particular, it was actually really funny because I think it was Hado actually that put a video out where he was even checking out the skins. And I think this is gonna do great for like content, like not just from him, but like from any creator. He was looking at the skins and he went into the marketplace because obviously all the skins are tradable inside off the grid, right? And when he clicked on the Trump one, I think it was going for like 500 or 600 or something like that. And then he went to the Kamala one in the marketplace and it was like trading for like 100 and something. So I personally thought that was like really funny because I'm like, oh man, people are already like taking this into like a whole nother level of memeing, So it's great to see because it does bring that life and culture back into the games,
I haven't played a second of Kamala, but to hear Trump say "enemy down" whenever I shoot somebody, it just makes you crack up.
Yes, dude. Or when you tag something, I think you could use this simple backpack.
And so funny, man. That's like a really that's something I didn't even touch on, and probably one of the most important parts of effectively like being part of the conversation is that you provide a tool for user generated content, which is now like kind of the most valuable marketing that most of these projects has. So like by creating like tools for those influencers and streamers to use, you then like create a really good opportunity for like mass exposure. So I think as we see UGC grow, we're also going to see the importance of that grow.
Dude, have I ever said how much I love fucking talking to you? Like the whole angle that you the conversation on this is like you went the mimetic angle, then you're talking like social IQ. It's always like crazy to me how deeply you think into things like in such a short period of time. Like I remember the first time we ever talked to you, I was just like that was like one of the biggest takeaways. And then I go back to the fact that you were a community member. I'm just like, how lucky did these guys get, bro? That this guy was just like chilling in Discord. Yeah, I just wanted to jump in and give you your flowers, dude, because like so many people would have just given like a like level 1 answer. You took it all the way to like level 100, So
and just to continuing on the flowers, I think is when you were saying like how lucky they got to just have Jason chilling in the Discord, right? I think it helps a ton that he's super passionate about Aavegotchi and just like the overall ecosystem, like that brings a ton of merit into like a brand already. When somebody's passionate about it, when somebody like fucks with the vision of what's going on, it's huge. So yeah, definitely flowers to Jason. Tracks here saying Fortnite was tiny for a while though. If you remember early days before free battle pass, listen, you're absolutely right. Fortnite was not popping in the beginning. I think what catapulted them was like really owning the idea of approaching their world as a sandbox, right? And when they started doing like actual like events for like their community, when they did the Travis Scott thing, when they started bringing the creative mode and allowing like the users create their own games within Fortnite, I think that's really what catapulted Fortnite into the behemoth that it is now.
Yeah, and even before that, like the way that they embraced their relationship with Ninja and the other creators that were, embracing Fortnite, I think really helped cultivate that early cult community that then allowed for those larger moments to even happen. So I mean, I think Fortnite did a lot of things right.
Speaking of embracing Ninja, so did Off the Grid. So
yeah,
making culture like that. Sometimes when you do embrace like these big KOLs and stuff, you could make a huge fandom from the get-go. So you never know.
Dude, I even saw a meme of like somebody putting like it was a team and somebody was rocking the Trump, the Kamala, and then the last player was Ninja.
Yeah.
And then the meme was like, oh, when did you ever get a game that allows you to squad up with Trump, Kamala, and Ninja? Or something like that.
Yeah, for real.
It's hilarious, man. I think games should definitely explore those moments more and bring it into their IP. But man, this has been a fantastic show. We're running close here to 2 hours already. I want to keep talking to Jason. I want to keep talking on things, but I think we're gonna stop here for this episode. Jason, any final thoughts? Anything you want to tell the viewers or the listeners about what they should be checking out within Abigashi and also with the GEIST migration as well?
Yeah, so if you are a Discord native, I would highly suggest getting into our Discord and then going straight to the GEIST Encounters channel, and you'll see some really clear directions on how you can partake in these encounters. What they are is they're like a weekly set of initiatives that will take people through various like mechanics and like actions on GEIST. And then there will be a benefit for these people down the road. Abigashi always keeps its word there, so best to just not think about it and do it. We release a new set of guidelines every week, but you can go back and start week one whenever. So I'd say if you're on Discord, start there because that'll take you through everything. If you are just like a general like gamer, you want to learn more, you want to be early to the ecosystem and maybe like cut your teeth on Web3 gaming, we think GEIST is a great place to do that. You can go to playongeist.com and you'll be able to put your email in there and start like the process of getting alerts and making sure that you're there for the early days of the chain, which is now live as of 2 days ago. And then of course, I implore everyone to follow us on Twitter at Abigashi. And if you are going to be at Art Basel, make sure you have notifications on for our Twitter. We do a 3-day event with the Goons and a handful of other communities, which is going to be a blast. Pizza Dow's doing an event with us there. But we're going to have a gaming lounge where you'll be able to play our games. And also we have a Polycade machine, which is a physical arcade machine that has the ability to connect. So you can send glitter, which is one of our tokens, to the machine and then play a gaming experience that uses our tokens in this arcade experience.
Crazy.
That's awesome.
So that'll be live there. So we want everyone to come down. There'll be swag up for giveaways. It's going to be a really good time. So yeah, I think that's all the latest and greatest with what we have going on. And yeah, just stay tuned for all of the updates on, as games slowly go live on the chain, which will happen, in a domino effect.
Absolutely, man. That's amazing. Guys, make sure you give Abigashi a follow on all socials. You can follow them on X at Abigashi, like Jason said. If you are listening and you're part of the Catalyst Discord community, check out our announcements. We're going to be dropping all of those links that Jason was mentioning so that you can get quick access to their Discord and start getting into those incentives that are super cool and are going to be important down the line. But yeah, guys, make sure you check them out. I'm super excited to meet with you guys in the Art Basel and check out all those experiences that you were talking about. Jason, it's gonna be freaking great.
It'll be It'll be sick meeting you guys IRL. And
Oh,
hell
plus,
yeah.
before you wrap up the show, I did want to call out a couple people.
Go ahead, brother.
Shout
Do
out
your thing.
Thrax, shout out Gotcha community, everyone that pulled up. Shout out Catalyst community, everyone that pulled up. Choina, 2 hours. Yes,
Time flies,
does
baby.
fly.
When you're
Thanks.
having a good time, time flies.
Thanks for
behind me.
kicking it with us today and kicking it back to you, Clouds. My bad, bro.
Absolutely. No, brother. Hey, listen, you did great, man. I just wanted to give a quick last shout out to our sponsors, RevGG, GEIST, and Arbitrum. Thank you for being huge supporters of the Catalyst brand. We appreciate it a ton. Make sure you guys check them out as well. And yeah, guys, this has been the episode 49. We're close to the big 5-0. Next week we'll be here at the same damn time. You know how we do it. You can catch us on all social, X, Twitch, and YouTube. Make sure you guys give us a follow there as well. And yeah, Jason, thank you so much, brother. It's always a pleasure having you on the show and catching up with you. Shout outs to Avagashi. Shout outs to GEIST. Make sure you check them out, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.